I moved out to western Nebraska about 6 years ago, mostly because I needed space, not in some dramatic life reset kind of way. I just got tired of noise, neighbors, and feeling like I was constantly on top of other people. I found a small rental house off a county road, about 20 minutes from the nearest town. It wasn't much, but it was quiet. That was the main thing. I worked at a farm supply store during the day and spent most evenings at home. I'd cook something simple, watch whatever was on, and go to bed early. I didn't really have friends out there, but that never bothered me. Weeks could go by without me seeing anyone outside of work, and I was fine with that. Winters were the only real challenge. The wind out there didn't just blow, it cut through everything. Snowdrifts would build up overnight, sometimes high enough to block the front door. But I had a decent truck, and I'd learned pretty quickly how to deal with it. Most storms came and went without much trouble. The one that didn't started on a Tuesday. It was already snowing when I got to work, but nothing unusual. By mid-afternoon, though, the sky had turned that flat gray-white that usually means things are about to get worse. The wind picked up hard, and you could hear it pushing against the building. My manager didn't wait long. Around 3 p.m., he told everyone to close up and head home before the roads got bad. The drive back was rougher than I expected. Snow was blowing sideways, and visibility dropped to a few car lengths at best. A couple times I lost sight of the road completely and just had to follow where I thought it was. By the time I turned onto my road, I was gripping the wheel tighter than I'd like to admit. The last stretch to my house was always the worst. Open land on both sides, nothing to break the wind. Snow piled up there fast. I made it into the driveway, but barely. The truck pushed through a drift and stopped with a jolt. I sat there for a second, listening to the engine idle, feeling that mix of relief and tension you get after a bad drive. Then, I tried to get out. The door wouldn't open all the way. Snow had already packed against it. I forced it enough to squeeze out, boots sinking deep immediately. The wind hit me hard, sharp and cold enough to make my eyes water. I got to the front door, pulled my keys out, and tried the lock. It wouldn't turn. At first, I thought I just missed the angle, but no matter how I adjusted it, the key wouldn't budge. The lock had frozen solid. I stood there for a minute, trying again and again like it might suddenly work if I just got it right. I tried warming the key with my hands, breathing on the lock, even knocking on the door out of frustration. Nothing changed. The wind kept pushing snow against my back, and I could feel it already starting to pile up around my legs. I went back to the truck and sat there with the heat blasting, staring at the house. Waiting didn't make sense. The storm was getting worse, not better. And if the truck got buried any deeper, I wasn't going anywhere. That's when I realized I didn't really have a choice. The nearest house was down the road, maybe a quarter mile. I'd passed it 100 times, but never stopped. I didn't even know who lived there. Still, it was that, or sit in the truck until the gas ran out. I pulled my coat tighter and stepped back out into the wind. The walk felt longer than it should have. Snow dragged at my legs, and the wind kept pushing me off balance. By the time I reached the house, my face was numb, and my hands ached. It was a small place, older, with a single porch light barely cutting through the snow. I knocked hard, then again, louder. For a moment, nothing happened. Just the wind and the sound of snow hitting the siding. Then, the door opened. A man stood there, maybe mid-50s, thin, pale, with a face that didn't really stand out in any way. His eyes moved quickly, not quite settling on me. I explained my situation, trying to keep my voice steady. He listened without interrupting, just nodding, slowly. After a second, he stepped aside and let me in. The warmth hit me immediately. It felt almost too warm compared to outside. The air smelled faintly like something stale. Old fabric, maybe. He introduced himself as Martin and pointed me toward the living room. I sat on the couch, trying to get feeling back into my hands. We talked a little, but it didn't feel like a normal conversation. He answered questions, but his focus drifted constantly. His eyes would flick to the hallway, then to the ceiling, then back to me. At one point, he started saying something about how long he'd lived there, then just stopped mid-sentence and stared at the wall for a few seconds before continuing like nothing happened. I told myself he was just awkward. Some people out there were like that. Still, something about it made it hard to relax. After a while, I said I was exhausted and asked if I could just sleep for a bit. He agreed quickly, almost too quickly, and said I could use the couch. He turned off the lamp, and the room dropped into near darkness. just a little light coming in from outside. But he didn't leave right away. He stood there, just inside the doorway, completely still. I lay back and closed my eyes, pretending to drift off. After what felt like a long time, I finally heard him walk away down the hall. I tried to sleep. For a while it was quiet, just the wind outside. Then, I heard something above me, a faint thump. I opened my eyes and stared at the ceiling. The house was one story. There shouldn't have been anything up there. Another sound followed, a slow dragging noise, like something shifting across wood. I told myself it was the roof, snow sliding, maybe ice cracking, but the rhythm didn't match. It wasn't random. It sounded deliberate. I stayed still, listening. The sounds continued, soft, uneven, but persistent. Then came a louder thud, sharp enough to make me flinch. I sat up, and that's when I saw him. Martin was standing in the hallway again. I hadn't heard him come back. He was just there, watching. For a second, neither of us moved. I opened my mouth to say something, but before I could, he rushed at me. Fast, way faster than I expected. He grabbed me and drove me off the couch. The air knocked out of my chest as we hit the floor. His hands went straight for my neck. I reacted without thinking, grabbing his wrists, trying to push him off. He was stronger than he looked, his grip tightening as he leaned his weight down. He started talking. No, not talking, more like muttering, saying things I couldn't fully make out. Something about not leaving, and she doesn't like it when they leave. I twisted, managed to get a knee between us and shoved hard. It broke his balance just enough for me to slip out from under him. I scrambled up, heart pounding, lungs burning. He lunged again, but I was already moving. I grabbed my coat and ran for the door. My hands fumbled with the handle for a second before I got it open. The cold hit me like a wall. Behind me, I heard him shouting, louder now, angry. I caught something like, "You're not supposed to see her." I didn't look back. I ran. The snow slowed me down, but adrenaline kept me moving. I aimed for the next house down the road, barely visible through the storm. When I reached it, I pounded on the door as hard as I could. A couple answered, older, startled, but immediately concerned. They pulled me inside without hesitation once they saw my face. I stayed there that night. The next morning, over coffee, I told them everything. When I described the house, the man exchanged a look with his wife. He asked if it was Martin. I said yes. He nodded slowly, like he already knew. Then he told me that about 8 years earlier, Martin's wife had disappeared. No police report ever went anywhere. No evidence. Nothing proven. But no one in the area believed she just left. Some people said they still saw lights on at odd hours, heard noises when no one should have been there. I didn't mention the sounds from the ceiling. I reported what happened later, but as far as I know, nothing came of it. I still live out there. The house is fixed now. New lock, everything works fine. But sometimes, when I drive past that place, I catch myself looking at the roof, and every now and then, I think about those sounds. Not loud, not random, slow, measured, like something moving carefully, trying not to be heard.